Hello students, welcome to class, which is outdoors on this beautiful day here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It's morning time and over there is the lake and my husband is throwing the stick in for my dog Bella. But I wanted to talk to you about something that happened yesterday. I met two different women and both of them did not know anything about what's going on in the dairy industry and in the egg industry. Now, if you follow this channel on a regular basis, you know that I'm always trying to get people to know what happens in these horrific places because people are so uneducated and they really are so misinformed. So this second woman who came up to me, she was with her sons and they wanted their picture taken. And so she said, you know, would it be okay? We're vegetarian. And I said, why are you vegetarian? And she said, because we really don't want to hurt animals. So I said, okay, well, that's great. And then I said, do you know what they do to the baby cows? Do you know why you should actually be vegan and not just vegetarian? And she said, no. And so at this point, one of her sons was sitting beside me on a bench and her other son was in front of me. And so there were two sons. One was 18 and one was 17. And so I said, well, you know, if you have a moment, I'd like to talk to you about it before we have our picture taken, because I say that's kind of my rule. If I'm going to pose for a picture, I want to make sure that you at least understand what I am here on social media for, what I'm about. I'm not just here as some personality. I'm an actual educator and I want to change the world for the better. So they said, okay, well, let us know what happened. So I explained about the baby cows, and he said the reason that you shouldn't be drinking milk is because they take the baby cows away from their mothers. If they're boys, they slit their throats at just a young age because they want to steal the milk that comes from these cows. And this mother's face just dropped. She said, I had no idea that goes on. She really just didn't know. And her sons kind of looked a little bit awkward at this point, like a little bit shifty, like they didn't really want to know about this, because when you know something, you have a responsibility to act on it. And that was putting them in a position now where they could no longer just be proud to be vegetarian, but they had to actually look at their actions next time they go to the store and they buy products that contain cow products, like cow cheese made from cow's milk, and yogurt, and every time that they have coffee or they have cereal, they have to change their ways and get soy milk or oat milk or almond milk or any other kind of plant-based milk. I went on to explain about what happens in the egg industry, and I sort of said, well, so here's what happens in the dairy industry. Can you think of why we shouldn't be eating eggs? I said, can you think of what they do to the baby boy chicks? And they just looked at me like they couldn't make the connection. So I said, well, if they're killing the baby boy cows because they'll never be able to produce milk, they're doing the same thing to the baby chicks. They are murdering them at a very young age because they'll never be able to produce any eggs. So they are also considered to be useless in the industry. So I looked at these two boys and I said, you guys are boys. How do you think you would feel if you were born into the body of a baby cow who is male? And they said, I don't think I would like it. And I said, and the same thing for the baby chicks. And they said, yeah, that doesn't seem fair. And then I explained to the mother about what happens to the cows. And I said the same thing. How would you feel if you were born into the body of a cow who is forced to be pregnant against her will and forced to have a baby that is then kidnapped from you? And she said, that sounds horrible. So I said, this is why I'm an animal rights activist. This is why I'm on social media. This is exactly the reason why I am so adamant about letting everybody know what happens in these industries, because people just don't know. Now, this was my second encounter of people that I want to talk to you about today. The other one was of a woman that I met who was walking along the Lakeshore Road. She goes on these power walks, and we we were sitting together. Well, I was sitting outside of the cafe, and she asked if she could join me because she wanted a spot in the shade beside me. And I said, yeah, sure. And it was the same thing. She talked about her life, and I talked a little bit about mine, and I explained why I'm on social media and what's happening to the cows. And she was also in complete shock. She had no idea. And she had no idea what happens to the eggs in the egg industry. So, I mean, I didn't even get to explain a whole bunch of other things which have to do with fur, or which have to do with wool, or which have to do with foie gras, which have to do with leather. I mean, there are so many other things involved in veganism that, you know, you could spend hundreds of hours researching everything and realizing how horrible it is. Oh, you know what? That reminds me, actually, there were 3 encounters yesterday. Another one was, I went into a store close by. And it's kind of like a fancy store with nice women's clothes. But unfortunately, as I was looking at all of them, many of the items had wool. Like a vast majority of all the sweaters were all wool. And she was priding herself on having wool goods and leather goods. And I really didn't want to, come down hard and negative. So I said that I was looking for vegan products in the store, and that I was going to make a little video, because I have a song called Check the Label. And I was looking for labels that were vegan. And so she showed me, first she was looking, she goes, no, this isn't vegan. Oh, no, this isn't. And I said, do you know why it's important not to buy wool? And she said, no. And I said, well, because people often think of the wool industry as just being, you know, this wonderful place where we have these beautiful sheep, everything's calm, and then we just give them all nice haircuts. And I said, I used to think that too. I mean, I bought wool, I bought leather, I bought all the lies. And so I said, well, in the wool industry, what happens is that this is like, it's an industry, and the animals are not treated like sentient beings. They're treated like products, and they are pushed along through an assembly line, and they are just thrown down and quickly sheared to the point where they are scared, to the point where they are harmed because someone grabs them and twists their ligaments and their tendons and gives them some permanent pain. And they also shave them to the point where they are often bleeding because the animals are flailing around and scared, and they are also artificially inseminated because they want to, I didn't even get a chance to tell her this part, but they want to make sure that they get the same breeds who produce the most wool over time. And so this is an industry that is also a cycle of violence. It is painful. So even though these sweaters look beautiful, and I would love to wear them if they didn't consist of any pain and any suffering, any animal abuse, but we cannot wear these items in good conscience if we want to consider ourselves to be good people. Now, I didn't say that part to her, but I simply said, look, this is what happens to the sheep in the industry. And she also looked shocked. She said, I had no idea. So I said, go and Google the wool industry in a minute by the organization called PETA, which is People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And she didn't know what that was. But later on, she took me to another end of the store, and we saw some really nice fluffy jackets. I mean, like sweatery jackets that were so comfy looking, like wearing a hug. And I checked the label. I said, look, this is vegan. And I said, look, it even says approved by PETA. I said, PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. She goes, oh, so I didn't know what that label meant. So this is how we go through life, giving people clicks. It takes 100 clicks to become vegan. You have to get the message into your head to know the facts, and you also have to open your heart. But everyone here is at the right place to start.
Being vegan doesn't mean that you just do your best not to eat, wear, or use animals. Being vegan also means you bravely speak out to defend them.
Just by being on this channel, you are getting some clicks. Whether you like me or not is not important. What's important is that you can live with your own decisions. Now, when you know better, you can do better. And now everybody here knows the facts. You cannot drink milk and be a good person. You cannot consume eggs and be a good person. You cannot buy wool and be a good person. You cannot buy leather because that is the skin of an animal and be a good person. Now, I'm not saying that when you become vegan that you need to throw out everything immediately. I've never said that. My position on this is if you have leather shoes, what you should do is put them on and every day be reminded as to why you are vegan, that you will never buy those kinds of shoes again. If you have a wool sweater, I am not suggesting that you throw it out right away necessarily, although many vegans just want to give everything to secondhand stores, and that's totally fine. But what I'm suggesting is if you put that wool sweater on, that you apologize in your mind, you say a little prayer to the poor sheep that suffer. You say, dear sheep, I'm wearing your wool and I am so sorry for what you went through. I would never have bought this if I knew. You do that with the items. And then whatever's in your fridge, you can go through it. If it's going to help you to say goodbye to the last piece of bacon by frying up that bacon and eating it, and really eating it slowly and being aware that this is the last time in your whole life that you're going to ever eat bacon, and that you are saying goodbye to your old self and hello to your new, kind, compassionate self, so be it. Go through the cheese, go through the milk, go through the yogurt, go through the non-vegan mayonnaise, and just go through them. Whether it means you give them away, like I said, or you can even throw them all out if that's what's going to help, whatever works for you. But anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you today. So thank you so much for being on this channel. Coming up on screen are going to be a bunch of other videos. Feel free to click on them. Look around this channel. Be curious. Some of these videos, I'm sort of, being a caricature of myself and sort of over-exaggerating my personality. But the truth is I'm here for one reason only, and that is to make you aware about what goes on. And you can see that I will do all kinds of things to try to get that message out to you. Sometimes I'm talking like this, just spontaneously. Sometimes I'm filming the sadness that goes on, and sometimes I'm being the teacher in the classroom. Whatever it is, I hope that you stay on this channel. If you like it, press the like button, subscribe button, and I'll see you all soon. Check out the videos coming up. Have a great day.
Let's follow that vegan teacher on YouTube right now. Let's